Hi, welcome back to another episode of Stand on Guard. I'm your host, David Crayden. And when we come back, one more reason for Justin Trudeau to step down.
So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need political change, but we also need the resolve to resist.
You betcha. Ring that bell, please. Like it. Punch that like button. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, and resubscribe if you must. Appreciate your support as we move up towards 30,000 subscribers. Every day makes a difference, and you make the difference for me. So happy Canada Day. Before I say anything more, that's I feel a little bit of a percent other Canadians really feel at times this country is broken. I really do feel the country is broken. And I am not proud to be Canadian at times. I'm not proud when I see our political leaders going on about Pride season and Pride month. And Canada Day was secondary for them this year, very much so. I'm not proud of Canada when I think of we're the suicide capital of the world. Not proud of that at all. I'm not proud of the fact that we're killing our oil and gas industry in Canada. I'm not proud of the fact that we're killing our veterans. Not literally, but in some cases we are through the medical assistance and dying program. We have done that, but we neglect our veterans and our defense is a disaster. And I'll be getting into that in a minute in terms of how much we've given away to other countries and how much we don't have in Canada to defend our own borders or to defend our own country. And that is an absolute disgrace. There's a lot of things I'm not proud about Canada. I had a uniform on at one time. I served in the Canadian Air Force. It wasn't at that time yet rebranded the Royal Canadian Air Force. I wish it had been. I fought for that change for years. But I was proud to wear the uniform, proud to serve Canada, proud to serve Canadians. And I'll always be proud of this country. But at this juncture in history, I'm not proud of what Canada has become under Justin Trudeau. And I'll say that. And I'll be honest about it. And I'm not going to any Canada Day celebrations today. I'm at home and I'm doing this broadcast because I think it's important to do something about Canada Day. So I'm going to be doing that. So what is Justin Trudeau saying?
Him to stay in the race.
Well, you know it. You know it. He's a.
I'm wondering, in terms of personal contemplation, if there's any discussion or a thought for you of a 10th Canada Day as Prime Minister, because as I have you, I would be remiss if I didn't ask about what has happened in the last week since the by-election in Toronto, St. Paul's, and the calls from caucus members and former cabinet colleagues. They say it's time for a new leader.
Listen, there's always going to be lots of reflection after a tough loss, but there's also so much to do, and I am committed to doing the work of building a better Canada every single day. So I look forward to next year's Canada Day, and I look forward to many more Canada Days. This is the kind of work that we have to remember really, really matters. There are tough days and there are better days, but Canadians are strong and resilient, and that's why we keep moving forward.
Well, we're not that strong and resilient that we can put up with you any longer. And it's really, I find it just amazing that this guy is just so delusional, in such deep denial about his circumstances, that he continues to say, hey, I'm staying on. Where's the opposition? I can't see any reason not to stay on. Is anybody unhappy with me? Yeah, your own caucus is unhappy with you, your own cabinet, not to mention 2/3 or more of Canadians are sick to death of the sight of you, sick to death of the sound of your voice. sick to death of your lecturing, hectoring speeches about how we should be so concerned about your woke ideology, and how we should be apologizing for everything Canada ever did in history. That's what I'm sick of hearing. I'm sick of you, Justin Trudeau. Get the hell out of the way. Get out. I hope his caucus moves him out. There's other reasons, though. And of course, the elections in France yesterday are a huge reason, and we'll get to that shortly. But let's also discuss the other big reason. Joe Biden's days are numbered after that presidential debate. If you watched my last show, we went into that in depth, and I discussed that with my friend Viva Fry about exactly what limitations Joe Biden has and how that is going to affect the Democrats in the presidential election. You don't think they're ruthless enough to cut him out, to cut the old man loose? No, of course they are. That's exactly what they're thinking of doing. And of course, he's thinking about, let's look at it, why Joe Biden won't go. This is from The Economist. This is from The Economist, usually a liberal, well, always a liberal publication, but the liberal publications have turned against Joe Biden now. And they actually say it's Trumpian of Joe Biden not to go because it's just about his massive ego. He just wants to cling to power. Very interesting analogy. Of course he does. It's what he's always wanted. His whole life has been in politics. He was one of the younger senators ever elected. He went into politics right after his university, which was a disaster, by the way. But he's only known politics and influence peddling as a politician. That's been his career. That's Joe Biden's career. So this clip also explains it.
Encouraged him to stay in the race. NBC News has learned his campaign manager sought to reassure key donors Sunday, emphasizing the president will not step aside and explaining the logistical difficulties in replacing him on the ticket, all after a damaging debate performance Thursday night deeply rattled members of his own party.
Yeah, deeply rattled. They're in shock. They're in panic mode because this guy can't do it. He cannot even respond to a question in a debate. Everything he said was either a lie or a distortion or a falsehood. It's hard to know if he believes it or not because he is so far down the dementia path. It's unclear whether he believes what he's saying or knows he's telling lies, knows he's manufacturing numbers, knows he's telling things that are completely ridiculous to suggest he inherited a bad economy under Donald Trump. The unemployment was not like 15% like he suggested. Ridiculous. Donald Trump had 3 magnificent years of the economy. The COVID pandemic destroyed his 4th year. It was all about the damn vaccine and people getting it, locking down businesses, people going unemployed, nobody leaving their house. Yeah, Joe Biden just made things worse when he became president with his mandates, continued lockdowns, and he spent money like water on infrastructure that wasn't infrastructure. So he's a complete failure, not only as a debater, but as a president. You think they're going to have a second debate? Yeah. They might have a second debate, but Joe Biden won't be there as the Democratic presidential nominee. Obviously, they're not going to have a second debate, but nobody's even suggesting that that's not even a possibility anymore. You're still hearing about, well, that was the first presidential debate. It's the only presidential debate for Joe Biden. The Democrats are not going to put him on the stage again against Donald Trump or anybody. He just can't take it. You know who's really in charge of the White House? Jill Biden. We saw that the other night, didn't we? Jill Biden, Lady Macbeth. She is the equivalent of Edith Wilson. You say, who is Edith Wilson? Edith Wilson was President Woodrow Wilson's wife. And when Wilson had a very serious stroke in the last year of his second term as president, Edith took over. She started signing the documents for him. She cut him off from the rest of the White House staff. No more news conferences. I'm not suggesting Jill Biden is signing Joe's name to documents, but she certainly is in control. And that's the way it goes. But of course, as long as Joe Biden says he can do it, as long as this demented old man who's responsible for the rape of America through his open border policy, as long as he can say, hey, I'm good to go, Justin Trudeau can keep saying, I'm good to go too. So I predict again, when Joe collapses and the Democrats come after him, Trudeau is going to have another reason to think about leaving. And his party is going to have another reason to think about leaving. Look at the ego of Joe Biden here. I mean, Annie Leibovitz, the Vogue photographer, captures these lovely images of Jill, Lady Macbeth. This is the woman who's responsible for the elder abuse in the White House, who's foisting her demented old husband on the stage to look like a blithering idiot, to act like a fool, to stutter and stammer and look completely befuddled and confused. The very picture of abject confusion. This is Jill Biden, glamour girl. Oh, she loves it. That's the old hag. I am so sick of this woman pretending to be such a wonderful first lady. She hasn't got a conscience. She's no scruples at all. And she's just, get your bloody big mouth out of things, your big head out of the way. Because all you're doing is screwing up America. Because Joe Biden is not just a bad choice for the Democratic Party. He's a bad choice to remain president. He's dangerous. He's got the nuclear football in his hands. He's got control over nuclear weapons. And he's pushing the United States closer to war with Russia. He needs to go under the 25th Amendment. And thank God, Representative Chip Roy, Republican from Texas, is encouraging the use of the 25th Amendment, and he's begun the process to do that. 25th Amendment is there when a president is incapacitated either by physical or mental ailment and can no longer function in the job. That's Joe Biden in spades. This is interesting. Time magazine, panic. Joe literally walking off the cover of Time magazine. If you look at the top, it's hard to see here. This is dated August 5th. So what is Time doing? Acting like clairvoyant here? Psychic magazine? They're predicting Joe Biden is going to be leaving in August or will have left by then? Well, I think he probably will have. And that's the way it has to be. Not only for, it's not just about the Republicans winning the next election at this point, because if that was all that mattered, keep Joe Biden. Let him stay there and get the shellacking of his life. Let him stay there and get thoroughly pounded by Donald Trump in November. But it's bigger than that now. It's larger than that. It's the survival of a nation because this guy is just not fit to serve in office. It's not just the fact that he's been peddling influence all those years and that he's completely amoral when it comes to his business conduct. He can't take it. He can't take it anymore. He can't do it anymore. And it's time to say goodbye. Adieu, Joe Biden. Now, I wanted to get to the other big news here. Oh, sorry. There. And the other big news, I saw somebody already commenting about that. And I'm just going to drive through, find your comments here. Now, Marine Le Pen's party in France, has been the big winner in the first parliamentary votes. Now they have a secondary vote next Sunday until one of the candidates in all of the electoral districts achieves 50%. So what is happening right now is not completely set in stone, but it is a damn good indicator of what's going to happen next Sunday as well. There's going to be a huge victory for Marie Le Pen's Common Sense Party. I looked at about 30 different mainstream media articles from Britain, Canada, and the US. Every last one of them, including so-called small c conservative publications in Canada, referred to Le Pen's party as the far-right party. Not a single media outlet referred to it as conservative or populist, which is what it is. This is not about some neo-Nazi party on the loose here. This is absolutely, and this is what these headlines are inferring and suggesting. And of course, the worst headlines I saw was from the UK Guardian, which suggested that, oh, this is a horrible thing that's happening in France because it's going to mean this far right party is going to take over. And even the centrists had better think about supporting the far left because Marie Le Pen is just so dangerous. We can't let her we can't get her in. And I just find this absolutely ridiculous. This is clearly the people in France, just as they did throughout Europe, saying enough of the establishment parties, enough of Emmanuel Macron, Trudeau's good buddy, just like Zelensky. Yeah, the two of them just love each other. Enough of these people, because all they're doing is bankrupting us, encouraging mass immigration without any discretion, and getting us closer to war with Russia while we spend billions of dollars propping up the corrupt government of Volodymyr Zelensky and the other Ukrainian plutarchs, oligarchs, corrupt politicians. Zelensky's not even a legitimate leader anymore. He was not reelected. He called off the election. Ukraine is the most corrupt regime in Eastern Europe. This is ridiculous. Stop funding this people. And this is what the people of France are saying. Macron, you wanted to send an army to France? Well, you know, that we tried that in 1812 under Napoleon. How did that work out? Not so well. The Napoleonic army retreated back to Paris in complete disaster and disarray, soldiers diseased and starving. That's what happened the last time France decided to attack Russia. This time it could be a nuclear war because France, as a member of NATO, will spark a war with all member states. And it will, of course, be a nuclear war very, very quickly. So Macron has got to go. He's on his way out. Can you take a hint, Justin Trudeau? Can you take a hint? If Macron leaves, Zelensky won't be far behind, actually. I'm surprised he's lasted this long. Inevitably, the United States will get rid of Zelensky when it's time. They will take him behind a building someplace and you will never hear about him again. Maybe they'll give him the luxury of being exiled. I doubt it. I think it'll mean the end game for Zelensky if that happens. I'll just put a few more of your comments up here while we have a chance. So it's over for Zelensky. It's over for Macron. The populist party of France, as I'll call it, is on the rise. Justin Trudeau, take a hint. Joe Biden will not be around much longer. He can't be. He just can't be. So interesting, though, I wanted another little tidbit that I dug up from yesterday's news on Sunday. Sometimes you'll find things. This is fascinating. You remember I did a segment about retired Lieutenant General Andrew Leslie. This is the guy who's the grandson of two defense ministers. And when he was elected as the member of parliament for, I think it was Orleans, as the Liberal MP, he expected to be Trudeau's defense minister in 2015. Instead, Trudeau played the political game and appointed Harjit Sajjan, an absolute incompetent from Vancouver, who was a reserve lieutenant colonel in the reserve army. This is the nutcake who claimed to be a big hero in Afghanistan. And this is the guy who decided it was more important to rescue Sikhs in Afghanistan than it was Canadians or Afghan friends of Canada or Afghan interpreters. Yeah, he went after the political objective first. And that's why Trudeau made him defense minister, by the way. It was all about ethnic politics, identity politics. So Andrew Leslie has become a seething critic of the Trudeau government in the last couple of years. Since he lost his nomination, he was the government whip. That's as far as he got. He never became defense minister like he always wanted. And I didn't know him in the military. I knew people who did know Andrew Leslie very well, and they all told me that was his life's ambition, to be defense minister just as his grandfathers had been. And one of those grandfathers was a First World War hero named Andrew McNaughton, who was really quite worth studying in terms of his history and his contributions to Canada. So Leslie's become a critic, and here's his latest. And this is a guy who would know. I mean, you can be a lieutenant colonel in the reserves and go and become defense minister, and you're not going to know half of what's going on in the Department of National Defense. This guy was the chief of staff of the Canadian Army, and his last position was a chief of transformation, I think, which was a sort of a silly title. But there aren't a lot of 3-star generals in Canada, and he was one of them before his retirement. And Trudeau really just didn't care. So he's getting his he's getting Trudeau back now. And he's saying, thanks to Trudeau, not only has he given billions of dollars away to a corrupt regime in Ukraine, not only has he thrown billions of dollars into the black hole of Kiev, where most of it that actually lands in Ukraine is being picked up by corrupt politicians and oligarchs. And of course, the other money is just being picked up by the military-industrial complex, by the armaments manufacturers, to produce arms so we can kill Russians and more Ukrainians can die, and the war can go on and on and on, and people can get very rich from it. But what Leslie is saying here is that Trudeau's also given away all of our ammunition. Not to mention, he doesn't mention Leopard tanks in here, but Trudeau's also given away probably every last Leopard tank we have. They're all destroyed on the fields. All the ammo's gone. We don't have anything left in Canada, and we have no means of producing our own ammunition now. This is what this article is all about. I found this fascinating. We can't produce our own ammunition anymore in Canada. So we're out of luck if we ever really have to fire a shot in anger in this country, because we don't have it and we're not going to get it anytime soon. And that's another reason for Justin Trudeau to go. He has completely mismanaged the military, as he has every other facet of Canadian government. And yeah, we still need a military. We don't need a military to go fight Russia. We don't need a military to go get involved in every foreign war the United States finds. But we do need a military to be a sovereign country, and it needs to be equipped with decent military hardware. In some cases, state of the art, because we are a big country, 3 coastlines. And the last time I looked, we're either the second or the first largest country on Earth. We're always jockeying for position with Russia in terms of landmass. So, yeah, we do deserve a first-class military in this country, and we don't deserve Justin Trudeau. So that's where we stand on Canada Day. As I started this conversation, I'll end it. There's still a lot to be proud of in Canada, but there's a lot of change we need, or this country ain't going to be around in 5 years' time. And I tell you, if I was 18, or 22, and I was thinking about joining the armed forces, I would seriously doubt that my decision would be to do so. Because we have a country that doesn't even believe in our own history, that doesn't celebrate our own heritage, that doesn't believe in Canada anymore. It believes in a woke country that is bereft of any real ideals. We don't even believe in freedom of speech in this country anymore. All we believe in is acquiescence to woke ideology. So I don't think I would join the military if I was in my 20s anymore. I would really have to say that I will give that some thought. We'll think about it. But I don't know if this country is something I want to fight for at this moment. Thank God there's change on the horizon, people. There's change on the horizon one way or the other. And getting rid of Justin Trudeau is just the beginning, because the Liberal Party is part of the stench. It's part of the corruption. It's part of everything that's wrong about this country. And it's got to go too. I hope it's annihilated in the next election. And I hope we get true conservatives elected who will do the necessary things to make Canada great again. Because yes, Canada does want this country to be great again. Justin Trudeau said once in the House of Commons, that's not what Canadians want. They don't want Canada to be great again. They want me. Well, that's an utter piece of rubbish. We do want Canada to be great again. And on this Canada Day, let's pledge ourselves to making Canada great again. Between now and the next election, and if must needs be after that next election, let's remember what Canada used to be and can be again. And it is time to say goodbye to Justin Trudeau. Thank you for watching today, folks. It's always a pleasure. We love you and God bless you. Have a great rest of your Canada Day, and I better shut up. Thank you for watching this episode of Stand on Guard and being a part of the KRAYDEN'S Right channel. If you've watched this episode to this point, you've watched it all. And that's really important for a small station like this. We always say subscribe, hit the bell, be a part of the KRAYDEN resistance. Resolve to resist. That's what we're doing. And if you become a subscriber, if you're a supporter of this station, thank you very much for watching.